How do you feel right now?
Satisfied. It's been a long time coming.
As the clock strikes noon in Santa Cruz, workers get ready for a burial.
Out of the way.
The truckload of guns was all gathered in just 1 hour last Memorial Day.
Doug, how many guns do you think you have here?
Well, we have over 100.
Over 100.
100 guns, all headed for the concrete bottom of a peace statue, a place where they'll never be fired again.
You know, these are not for hunting. This is killer stuff. We gave him a bouquet of flowers and a certificate of appreciation for turning the guns in, and then we chopped it up, and now it's here for final deposit. And this is our very symbolic and very small way of saying we want to break that cycle of violence.
Just about anywhere you look today, society's looking at a problem where the victims and suspects are getting younger and younger. But today, some young folks came here hoping to prove that they can be part of the solution. Do you guys not like guns?
No, they're nasty.
So what are you going to do with these?
Put it in this car because they'll drive for, I don't know, so you'll never ever have to see them again.
And once the guns are cast in cement, they'll be part of the foundation of a 6-foot bronze statue. A statue revered by anti-nuclear weapons activists and sculpted by one of their own.
And I would love to see the world disarmed. I think a lot of the even domestic violence that we have in the United States would be far, far less if people didn't have the availability of guns.
The official statue dedication is Saturday. This weekend marks the 50th anniversary of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. Chase says the ceremony is a tribute to all those who've lost their lives in combat. In Santa Cruz, Kimberly Richardson, CAN-TV News.
When I joined the VFW here locally, which was peace-oriented, which is unusual for veterans of foreign wars, but I liked the projects they got involved in, and as a member there, I looked out one day on the World War I monument over there, and the eagle was missing. They had taken it down they were constructing a new pedestal and were refurbishing the eagle. And then there was rumors that the eagle was lost, so they'd have to find a new monument. And I thought about monuments, and I thought about the things that had impressed me as a child, as a young man, Charge of the Light Brigade, Iwo Jima, and tanks and guns, and things that had pushed buttons in me that were part of the motivating factor to go to the sounds of the guns. And I realized that we needed a new type of monument, something that would convey more the reality of war. And as I contemplated that, I realized that there were no monuments to the majority of the people who die in war, and that's the civilians or the non-combatants. They die at a ratio of 2 to 1. So I knew then that we needed to find something that would represent them. And so I put it before the VFW. They approved the project, and they said, go find one. And fortunately, about the third man I approached, E.A. Chase, as he was showing me his work, we thought we'd have an open competition. But when I saw the slide of this piece, I knew we had found what we were looking for.
The idea for the project of the sculpture emerged in March of 1993 when Vietnam veteran James Wainscoat came to the Resource Center with a maquette of the sculpture. And we were really impressed by the image of the sculpture, its history, and how well it conveyed who really pays the price in modern war. The Resource Center for Nonviolence for almost 20 years has been working in the community opposed to war and advocating its alternatives. And on many occasions we've worked with the VFW Bill Motto Post on anti-intervention activities against the Persian Gulf War and many other issues. So it seemed natural that we'd be able to collaborate together and bring this sculpture into the community. During the first year of the campaign, we held many different community activities with the sculpture, including a very successful gun turn-in, which netted more than 100 guns that were earmarked then for the base of the sculpture. And these activities, they had an element of controversy about them because we weren't just talking about the sculpture and the project, but we were talking about the deeper issues of war and violence and how do we prevent that. We collected more than 3,000 signatures in support of the sculpture project. We brought it to the City Council, and the Council, after some debate and discussion, approved the idea of a memorial to the civilian casualties of all wars. And then we spent another year deciding on a site, and finally the City Council allocated this site here at the Town Clock, which is a public park and also a major gathering place for people in the community when very critical issues come to light. The sculpture will be a gift to the city by our organizations and the artist, E.A. Chase, and the people of Santa Cruz to the city. And we hope to make additional castings, one for the International Peace Garden in Hiroshima, Japan, and also another one at the United Nations. The sculpture is more than just at 600 pounds in weight, and the 120,000 pounds of concrete which we poured on the site. Our hope is that the real weight of the piece will be a statement as to our responsibility regarding war and nuclear war, what it means not only in historical terms, but for our future as well, and not only for the nuclear family, but for all of humanity.
They came to us, my father and I, and asked us if we'd be interested in helping them do it. And time frame was real close, 2 weeks from start to finish. And we thought it was a good cause, so we jumped in with them and helped everybody do it. And there's a fantastic group of people, probably the greatest group of people I've ever worked with on a job before.
I rode down here on my bike, and this is Friday, so this is the day before the event, and I just wanted to see if they were going to start building a stage, and thank goodness they are. Of course, I'll be here, and I'll probably enjoy it for the first hour or two, and then I'll probably get overwhelmed by the crowds and go home.
You know, I just got to stop for a second, you guys. I'm sorry. I thought I communicated this car pretty well. So these platforms, the next row goes...
There'll be another one here.
Underneath it. Well, this will be 6 inches taller.
This is actually our middle tier.
Okay, I need them to be a foot, at no less than a foot difference between the one in front of them.
Okay. I expect a lot of people here just to listen to some music and hear about some speeches.
So, who's coming?
Jackson Brown, Bonnie Raitt, Graham Nash, and David Crosby, and some local acts, Takara, RST. Yeah, dedications at the clock tower. Of the statue for the collateral damage. And that's what this is all about, essentially.
Essentially. This isn't about good music and...
No, well, it's just to mark the date, right.
August 6th.
And I wouldn't say it's a celebration of any, it's just to, you know, commemorate the date. 50 years ago that they bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And all these artists have something to say about it, too. They've been involved for a long time.
Who do you think has been involved the longest?
Jackson Brown, Bonnie Raitt. I mean, all of them, all the major acts that are coming in I've been involved for a long, long time.
You have been involved with them?
I've been working with them for 20 years, so I guess that's a long time.
Yes, I would.
The spirit of it, I believe, is just to bring the realization that 50 years ago was the bombing, the atomic bombs were dropped. And that they just want to make people realize that a lot of time has gone by, and I don't know if anyone's justified it yet, the right or the wrong of it.
I'm expecting musicians to play music and for people to, speak about the occasion that we're commemorating, which is the dropping of the bomb 50 years ago. And I'm expecting a sunny day and a really good time. I work in the music industry as a production technician or a production manager, and I get involved in projects like this because they're sort of like my payback projects. It's that, I get to put something back in to, and as opposed to taking out. And it's not about money, it's about a cause, it's about people getting together and doing something together. It's about community consciousness and be able to take your own skills and abilities and to apply them to something that is, I think, important, is a real privilege.
We want to do this because it's a great opportunity for us to express our, condolences for that devastating bombing that happened 50 years ago, and our way of saying our prayers to the victims and survivors on all sides of the ocean. And again, we do that through music, and the band Tokara will be doing that with their original music, the original Pan-Latin music. And as a percussionist, I'm happy to be on board. Should be fun.
The commemoration of the 50th year of the bombing of Hiroshima, and I need a flatbed truck in the worst way.
Like a Datsun or a Ford, or does it have a camper shell?
Hey, that's a little
That's what I wanted to hear. Do you think you could accommodate? I have 6 and 6. I have 12 tables and 100 folding chairs from your end of the world, and I have several strong volunteers who are going to drive down and meet you.
Where are you going?
What's that?
Where are you going with these?
We're going to put up a perimeter fence.
Keep out the riffraff, huh?
What's that?
What do you think it's going to be like?
Wild. There'll be a lot of people here. I'm just expecting, with any kind of rally, you can't ever predict what's going to happen. You just have to plan for the worst, which is actually not so much the worst, just a lot of people.
What we could do is like just kind of touch it like this, and then I can get out of it, and then you can just be on the sculpture. You want to do that? Try that again.
As I said before, it's a piece that was done in 1959 when I was working with a informal group of Ban the Bomb activists. We used to take it around to meetings, and people became very involved with it. And finally, some people suggested that we give it as a gift to the United Nations. And I thought that was a fine idea. So we tried to negotiate and got a roving ambassador to help us out on the project. And finally the State Department intervened and shut the process down. So basically it's been in storage for the last 30 years. I wanted to reach people. I wanted to show them at an emotional level the incredible stakes of what we were dealing with. And of course, since the end of the Second World War, according to UN statistics, 85 million civilians have died in wars that they haven't sanctioned. And so the killing goes on, and I think we need to think about what the real consequences of war is, not just who the heroes are and who wins the battles and how cute the high-tech weapons are, but we have to think in terms of the human casualties involved in these conflicts.
And the bowl I just placed inside, I rang in Hiroshima and in Nagasaki while I was living in Hiroshima and while I was present at these ceremonies. I was in Hiroshima for 3 years, and this bell I rang and traveled with in Nagasaki and in Hiroshima and in other places, also in Korea. And so I think this was very appropriate. It was Doug's idea to place a bell, and I was so glad that we could do that.
Let's check our clearance here. Hey! Okay, we want to go back a little bit. A little bit that way. Okay. Over there, good dog. Congratulations. Has Annie been here? No. Yeah, she's left. Back down. Real tight here. Considering that the artist originally
conceived and constructed this sculpture 35 years ago. We did allow ourselves the leisurely 5 days to construct it, and I'm speaking to you on the 5th day. This concrete I'm standing on has been in place for less than 48 hours, and we do appreciate the warm weather that we had and all of the volunteer labor which made this last-minute construction possible. We won't talk about any of the details. We'll just bask in the shall I say, the satisfaction of seeing the piece in place. When we were looking for suitable sites here in the city, we finally ended up with this site here, which was not our first choice, but I believe it's been a good one. And I feel that it's an appropriate setting, and that the augmentation it provides to the conventional war memorial, which sits right downtown here, is appropriate. I like the geometric simplicity. We did not want anything that was decorative per se. The point is to feature the piece, the sculpture itself, and not to detract from that, and to allow people to sit and to contemplate the piece while sitting.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to represent the Bill motto, Post Veterans of Foreign Wars, and our motto is Wage Peace. And I think it's important. One, let's start off with, was it immoral to drop the bomb? It's immoral to have war. It's not even a question anymore in my mind whether it's right to drop a bomb.
It's not right to drop any bomb. Doesn't matter who kills you. Our struggle is the struggle of combat war, to combat aggression, and to combat hatred.
With this, I actually pedaled a replica of this sculpture about 3/4 size in a bike trailer all the way from Watsonville to Santa Cruz to the clock tower here as the initial fundraising event and the publicity event let's start talking about actually placing it on this spot. So I've been a long-time supporter of the sculpture. It's an amazing, you'll see when it's unveiled, an amazing sculpture in terms of the powerful statement that it makes about the way in which civilians are hurt by war, and that war, doesn't necessarily have the intended results. It ends up killing millions of people that were not the initial aim, perhaps, of a war. If we're going to avoid wars in the future, nuclear war or even conventional war, it requires the people in a society, any society, the United States, Japan, Germany, England, France, anywhere else, that the people have to hold their government accountable.
Hello, everybody. I'm very honored to come here and meet you, all of you. Today is a day 50 years ago. The bomb dropped on Hiroshima. I am very lucky to survive. Many of my friends and schoolmates, so many innocent people died today. What kind of world is this? War is nothing good for anybody, for anything. And here, beautiful baby like this, born every day, thousands, hundreds, thousands babies, newborn babies coming in this world, all over the world. What kind of world waiting for them?
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's Bride, from every mountainside, let freedom reign, let freedom reign.
Collateral Damage. He's a veteran. He's done lots and lots of soul searching. He created this statue many, many years ago. And it's through his determination and those of the Bill Motto Post 5888 and people with the Resource Center for Nonviolence that worked many years to bring it to us today. Please welcome E.A. Chase.
When I created this sculpture 35 years ago, its purpose was to help arouse Americans out of their complacency concerning nuclear testing and to face the real threat of nuclear war. It was an effective tool in helping bring the issue out of the abstract realm of technical jargon and into people's hearts. I am deeply gratified that this image has moved some of my fellow humans sufficiently to bring this project to completion. It is a justification for my commitment to the idea that art can be relevant to society. Its dedication on the 50th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima is particularly meaningful. We are reminded that in one blinding flash occurred the greatest loss of human life the world has ever witnessed. Whatever rationale could apply to the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the significance on the human level is forever burned into our psyche, like the shadow images of the human forms burned into the concrete of Hiroshima's rubble. Since the end of World War II, 85 million civilians have been victims of wars they have not sanctioned. They are a testimony to a failure of our collective consciousness. Yet the struggle for world peace continues to be waged by millions of human beings who love life and our planet. We must believe we have the power in our humanity to make the difference. Each one of us acting in a life-affirming way that best mobilizes our own talents and abilities can create a chorus of voices that will drown out the drumbeat of violence. In this sense, this dedication of the Collateral Damage sculpture represents not the despair its conception was motivated by, but a victory for the forces of peace and intelligence. Yeah.
The children of this community, the children of the world, deserve a chance to grow up in a 21st century free of the fear of nuclear war and ultimately free of the fear of all violence.
The sheep's in the meadow, the cows in the corn. Now is the time for a child to be born. He'll laugh at the moon and he'll cry for the sun. And if it's a boy, he'll carry a gun. Sang the crow on the cradle. And if it should be that this baby's a girl, never you mind if her hair doesn't curl. With rings on her fingers and bells on her toes, and a bomber above her wherever she goes. Sang the crow on the cradle. Crow on the cradle, the black and the white. Somebody's baby is born for a fight. The crow on the cradle, the white and the black. Somebody's baby is not coming back. Sang the crow on the cradle. sang the crow on the cradle. Bring me my gun and I'll shoot that bird dead. That's what your mother and father once said. The crow on the cradle, what can we do? Ah, this is the thing that I'll leave up to you. Sang the crow on the cradle. Ah, this is a thing that I'll leave up to you.
Please join me in welcoming Rear Admiral Eugene Carroll.
You are enjoying a beautiful day to dedicate an important event, the unveiling of the statue Collateral Damage. But it's almost too beautiful a day to regard that ominous graphic warning about the damage that is done to civilians these days. War is no longer a battle between armies, no longer a battle between fleets. It's nation against nation, and every citizen is part of the targets. They have no place of safety from the weapons of war. On that statue, there are no uniforms on those wretched victims. They bear no arms, they threaten no one, but they suffer the violence of war just as the warriors have always done. These innocents personify the universal danger and destruction of modern war, and we try to cover it up with the ugly phrase collateral damage. In looking forward to this ceremony today, I checked the dictionary of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States Armed Services, looking for a definition of collateral damage, but they don't have one in there. It's almost as if they're ashamed to admit that they target civilians and that they calculate how many will die in a strategic attack. In truth, World War II made civilians the primary target of much of our warfare, beginning with the German raids on cities in England where the intent was to break the will of the British people to fight. The practice became a regular part of modern warfare. 1,000 casualties in Coventry were answered with 10,000 casualties in Dresden and Cologne, and then 63 cities in Japan were attacked with firebombs, and 1 million people died.
Ever since I was a little girl, I was raised as a pacifist and a Quaker, and I remember being 6 years old when the Hiroshima maidens came to our Quaker meeting, and I was completely astounded that human beings could do this to one another. And in honor of all the people, of all the collateral victims of radiation testing, of nuclear power, of uranium mining, of the Cold War, of the arms race, of what happened 50 years ago in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I want to say, from the bottom of our hearts, never again. Let it stop now. Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there. He's telling me I got to beware. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Did you have a chance to see the statue at all?
Yeah, we started out at the statue and then came over here.
And what did you think of the statue?
The statue was really expressive.
Yeah, it was really interesting because when it was veiled, I didn't know if it was going to be like a person or what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I just couldn't quite figure out what it was until.
Did you feel anything when you saw it?
Well, it was definitely something emotional that made you feel something like war was kind of stupid.
It expressed the viewpoint of the innocent people, and since this is the 50th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's really appropriate for today. And the source of collateral damage is that people, to win the war, you just need to deeply injure the other side, and by doing collateral damage, it's one of the most effective ways. And so I think we need to look at why we need to win wars and what wars are really about before we can answer that.
I think fighting doesn't solve anything. Usually it doesn't. And if we can just start working things out and talking them over and agreeing on stuff, it will make a big difference. Instead of fighting, because if you fight the other side, if you do something really bad to the other side, they're going to say, oh, I'm going to get them back for it, So it just makes the war just start again or something.
And a lot of people think that kids really can't solve anything, but we're just the future of America, and we need to know what's happening to understand it and work things out.
And it starts off when you're a kid, to learn what's good and what's not. And so
we will be the ones who will inherit this world, and I hope that by then there will be no more nuclear weapons or nuclear wars. But if there is, then it's our responsibility to do exactly what our parents are doing now and to try to stop that.
Let's thank the sound crew and all the people in the red shirts that volunteered to help us today. And all the people constructing the stage, the volunteers and everybody who constructed the stage. It's a lot of work.
On the road, must have a call. Santa Cruz.
Thank you very much. David Crosby and Graham Nash.
And everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here to stand and be counted. It matters.